All right, let's have another look at the graphical method for simultaneous equations, and we're going to look at another example. So the last example we looked at was two cars traveling at different speeds, and we looked at when one car caught the other car, or basically when they had traveled the same distance. This particular question is going to be on car rentals. Okay, we've got two car companies. There's No Frills Car Rental, and there's also Prestige Car Rental. And No Frills Car Rental allows you to hire a car for 38 euros per day, and you pay 50 cents for every 10 kilometers traveled in excess of 100 kilometers per day. So every time you go over 100 kilometers, so if you do 110 kilometers, you're going to pay an extra 50 cents. 120 kilometers means you'll pay two lots of 50 cents, and so on and so on. So basically, every time you travel an additional 10 kilometers, you get charged 50 euro cents. The other company, Prestige Car Rental, offers the same type of car deal, but we've got 30 euros per day, and then it's $1 for every €1 for every 10 kilometer traveled over 100 kilometers per hour. So different deals, same concept though. So you've got a fixed price and then a charge every time you travel another 10 kilometers. So the first thing we need to do is write down an equation representing the cost if we choose to rent with Prestige Car Rental. Now that's actually, doesn't really matter which one we do first, but that's actually the second car. So let's have a look at what that would cost. If we're looking at costs now, it'd be nice to use a C-axis for cost versus, say, the distance traveled. But I think you boys can handle the fact that really we've got, instead of my C-axis, my Y-axis, and my distance is going to be an X value. So the cost that I'm going to be charged, well, I get hit with a fixed price of 30 euros. And then I get charged with more charges. That's why I put the plus sign. So we're going to add on the extra charges, that every time I travel an extra 10 kilometers over 100 kilometers, that's important, then I'm going to pay €1. So really every day I'm going to travel a distance called D, and to work out how much over 100 kilometers I go, I need to subtract those 100 kilometers. So for example, if you travel 170 kilometers, then I would do 170 minus the 100, and then I'd realize, oh, I'm 70 kilometers over the 100 kilometers. So we're just doing a subtraction to work out how far over 100 kilometers you travel. And then they said every time you travel an additional 10 kilometers, you're paying €1. Well, I need to know how many lots of 10 kilometers that I'm doing. So how many lots of 10 kilometers over this 100 kilometers am I doing? So once I work out the distance that I'm traveling over 100 kilometers, so how far in excess of 100 kilometers I travel, I need to take that amount and divide it by 10, because every time I travel 10 kilometers, I'm going to be paying €1. And I could multiply it by this charge of €1, but since it's €1 for each of these lots of 10, then I don't need to write it because it's 1. But I will put it there because we're charged €1 for every. So let's put in some numbers just so it's clear, because I think this is quite tricky conceptually. If I travel 250 kilometers in a day, then by subtracting this 100, I can see that I travel 150 kilometers over 100 kilometers. And for every time I travel an extra 10 kilometers, I'm going to pay €1. So I have to work out how many 10 kilometers fit inside that amount, and then I'll be charged €1 for all of that. So 10 will go into 150 15 times, and so for each of those groups of 10 kilometers, there's 15 of them, I'll be paying €1. So that means I'm going to pay an extra 15 euros on top of the 30 euros that I get charged in the first place. So for that journey of 250 kilometers, I'm actually going to pay 30 euros plus another 15, which makes a 45 euro charge. So that gives me the first equation, as I now know that the first equation that I'm going to have is y equals 30 plus x minus 100 on 10. You can put the times 1 there if you want. We're going to now repeat this process, but we're going to do it with the other, I've skipped a slide, that's why. All right, never mind. We're going to do it with the other journey. We're going to look at No Frills Car Rental. No Frills Car Rental. Now what No Frills Car Rental does is they charge you 38 euros a day. So that's my fixed cost. And now for every amount over 100 kilometers, so every 10 kilometers over 100 kilometers, I'm going to get charged 50 cents this time. So slightly different, not a euro, but 50 cents. So I'm going to travel in a day X kilometers, and I'm going to take away 100 to work out how far above the 100 kilometers I travel. And then I'm going to divide that by 10 to work out how many groups of 10 there are, because for every group of 10, I'm paying 50 cents. So once I get this number, I need to multiply by not 50, but 0.5, because remember, I want this amount to be, if I was paying for car rental, I wouldn't pay for car rental in cents or euro cents, I'd be paying in dollars or euros. So here, that amount should be in euros, it should not be in cents. So what I have now is two equations. I've got the equation for no frills car rental, and I also have the equation for prestige car rental. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take both these equations and I'm going to plot them into Desmos. Let's see what happens. So the first equation was y equals 38. Both of them had x minus 10 on them. Not x minus 10, x minus 100. Let's just check that. I did that correctly in both equations, actually. Yeah, we've got x minus 100 there and x minus 100. All right. Could be going crazy with all this video making. And for every amount over 100 kilometers, every excess of 10 kilometers, we're paying 50 euro cents. That's my first line. There it is, come up. And then the second one was a flat charge of 30 euros. And then we had to work out the distance you traveled over 100 kilometers, work out how many lots of 10 there were, and you were charged €1 for each of those groups of 10 kilometers. Now it's clear to see that these two lines are going to intersect eventually. I just have to find them. So if I drag my graph and get more of the x-axis visible, I can now see that they do in fact meet this nice point here, 260 and 46. Now what does that mean? We've got to remember what the 260 is my x value, okay, and that x value represents a distance. So it must mean that if you travel 260 kilometers, now the y value, that y was the cost to you, was the charge. So if you travel 260 kilometers, you're going to be charged 46 euros. So when you travel that amount, that distance, it doesn't actually matter which company you use, you're going to be charged the same amount. So that's the ideal. When you travel that distance, it actually doesn't matter. But it's interesting to see that that black line, which is the company that charges the 30 euro flat rate, that after you travel more than 260 kilometers, that black company, that becomes the more expensive company to choose. And if you're going to travel a long journey, then you're better off using this purple company, because that line sits, as we can see, that line sits underneath the black line. So it actually becomes cheaper. But if you're going to be doing shorter journeys, less than 260 kilometers, then you're better off choosing the black company, because that is cheaper than this purple company. So you actually learn a lot from these graphs. So the graphical method here is that we've graphed both the lines and we're able to find a simultaneous solution of both of these equations on the side. That simultaneous solution is when the x value is 260 and the y value is 46. Now let's go back and see if we've answered the question. What is the question? Use your graphs to determine the distance that needs to be traveled so the cost of hiring a car is the same for both companies. Well, we saw that that distance was 260 kilometers. Okay, we could also ask you, well, what is that cost that you then incur? And that was 46 euros to travel with both of those companies. So you pay the same amount. And this here is a similar. Have I even written my euros? Here I am writing pounds, euros. Let's confuse ourselves, everyone. Euros. So I'm just looking for my symbols. So there is my simultaneous solution of both the equations. So I hope you're getting the idea of the graphical method. Graph both of those relationships, find where they intersect, and interpret the simultaneous solution. And understand that this solution, okay, this is an x value and this was a y value, they both simultaneously satisfy both the equations.